Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm taking a look at a Band-Maid related video that was made by a person that has dedicated a lot of time on their channel to the history of Band-Maid. This is called Band-Maid Focus on Thrill, the song that saved Band-Maid. The channel is Ohrenje. Perhaps some of you that are Band-Maid fans already know about this channel. This was specifically requested by Superfly, so I thought I'd go ahead and do that, and it seemed to make sense to put it here. So this is going to be something of a documentary. We're not going to see the video Thrill here, although we'll see bits of it for sure. And we have looked at the video over on the Glenn and Adrian channel. In fact, it was our very first Band-Maid reaction back in early 2024. So it's been a while. I remember it being a pretty catchy song. All right, with that, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, just know I'm always looking at non-music content that features bands that are touring today, so if that interests you, please subscribe so you won't miss anything. All right, let's go ahead and check this out. Great graphic. I believe that was all the members.
Did you know that Band-Maid almost ceased to exist after 2 years?
バンドメイドが解散して
解散するかもみたいな。
これ言っていいのかな。バンドメイドが解散して2人でダンスメイドをやってくださいって
あったあった。
これ
話したことあるよ。
話したことあるって
あると思う。
バンドメイド解散してサイちゃんと私は
ダンスメ
イドっていうユニットを組んで明日から頑張ってくださいって言われたんだもんね。それが嫌すぎて泣いたっぽ。2人でそれだけは嫌ですってすごい泣いた。
そのために東京で出てきたんじゃない？違う。最終回でそんな話すると。
After its creation in the summer of 2013, Band-Maid struggled for a long time to reach new fans and establish a solid fan base. Despite all their efforts, like selling tickets by hand, taking photos with fans, and promoting themselves, our favorite band couldn't find its way through the music industry. After the release of a first mini-album of 8 songs called Made in Japan in January 2014, Band-Maid started to record their next single called Aito Jonetsu no Matadoru in 2014, along with 2 B-sides, Thrill and Summer Drive.
Oh, okay.
Normally when a band releases an album, they also release a music video. Most of the time, the main song or A-side of the single is the one chosen for the music video, and some...
Now, not to interrupt here, but this is a single that comes before the next, well, really a mini-album. That would have been New Beginning from 2015. So they had something before that. They had a single, and Thrill was one of the B-sides. All right, I'm just making sure that I understand as we go along here, because Thrill is actually the opening track on New Beginning. But apparently it had been released before.
Sometimes, bands also record one for the B-side. But when the members were asked to choose a song for their first music video, they all replied, Thrill.
It is catchy.
Before this song, each of them looked for a direction for Band-Maid to follow while being unsure of where the band was going.
They're all wearing different maid
Since
outfits. In that way. Let's go back to that for a second.
Before this song,
I haven't seen
each
this
of them
before.
looked for a direction for...
Look at what they're wearing. It's checkered. All of them have different uniforms on. I don't think I've ever seen them in a different uniform except for situations like Band-Maid or that Christmas special where they all were dressed in kind of red, more traditional. But nothing like this. That's interesting. Does anybody know the story behind this?
Band-Maid to follow while being unsure of where the band was going. Since Thrill, they finally found their musical direction and united together with the thought of performing harder songs in the future. In Japan, Thrill was very well received by the audience and felt right in the ears of the Band-Maid members. And that's not all. Less than 5 months after its release on YouTube, a Facebook page called J-Rock Radio posted the MV of Thrill, and it exploded. The music video got a lot of views from a lot of people from all over the world in a very short amount of time. The members even thought that their Twitter account was hacked at the time when they saw all the responses from the newly formed overseas fan base.
I guess that's good.
They found out that they had received an email from this page, but the manager thought it was spam as the email was in English, and they didn't expect any contact
They blew
from
off
outside Japan.
fan base. Okay.
4 days later, Band-Maid's Facebook page was created, and the band started to write tweets in English.
Good call.
There was also some comments stating that the maids weren't the ones playing their instruments.
Ah, yeah, the
band replied by
faking it.
posting covers of popular songs to shut down those comments.
Good call. Good idea.
Akane did a cover of Benjo Sandal Dance by Maximum the Hormone.
Benjo Sandal Dance, okay. Gonna have to look for that. See, I can really play the drums. Brilliant, I love it. That's right, this is the era where they all still dressed as
Konami
maids.
covered Koi no Aibo Kokoro no Kyuki
Similarly.
by One OK Rock.
Holy cow. Konami's look has changed quite a bit. He seems more comfortable these days. Audio tone? Guitar? Is that what that is?
Misa also made a cover of Smashing Pumpkins' tribute to Johnny, but the video is not available anymore.
Too bad.
The music video of Thrill has now more than 20 million views and is one of the best songs to understand where Band-Maid comes from. You can see a few seconds of Thrill in the music video of Unleash, released in August 2022. But we will talk about Unleash in a future episode.
Okay.
Thrill is one of the most performed live songs since the creation of Band-Maid, and was a special part of their finale at the Yokohama Arena in November 2023.
Excellent. You know, I think that Thrill was a great starting point for us as reactors of Band-Maid, hearing them for the first time. It's the one that kind of set the mark that we were looking at for Band-Maid from that point on. It is such a strong song, and it's so well performed. They already have their sound completely locked in by this time. They sound just like it now, only even better. They've just moved forward, you know. But they're super solid right here already in 2015.
One thing for sure, the members will never forget about Thrill, the song that saved Band-Maid.
The song that saved Band-Maid, yes. Yep, those red outfits. I've only ever seen them in that video. It's interesting when they do that because it's pretty rare. Very interesting story. I didn't realize that Thrill was that important to them continuing on as a band, that they were kind of in trouble, I guess. They weren't really gaining ground. They weren't gaining traction yet with the fans or with a big fan base. Thrill, it does not surprise me at all that that's getting a lot of views. It was well done. It's a great song. And they're so good as musicians at that point. They're, like I say, they're so locked in with each other. So it makes perfect sense to me that this is the one. Now, having said that, I don't know that I've heard very much of anything off Made in Japan with the exception of an acoustic version of Forward. I think that's it. And of course, that was a time when they didn't write their own music. There were other people writing the songs. And then the band would play them. And that was mostly the case on the next one, too. New Beginning. I don't know why I keep saying Brand New Made. That's the next one, but New Beginning. So the only song on New Beginning that has any Band-Maid songwriting credits is Thrill. And that's because Miku has a co-writing credit on the lyrics. And I think that they followed this trend for one more kind of EP. All of these, I think, were about a half hour long, these first three releases. Brand New Made was the next one. And yeah, once again, not a lot written by the band. However, at this point, there were a couple of songs that were written completely by the band. It would appear, no, actually just one. Alone, the song Alone is credited entirely to Band-Maid and members of Band-Maid. And then Miku has lyric credits on a couple other songs. Every EP or mini LP that came along for the first few years had a little bit At first there was no writing, and then there was a little tiny bit of writings, like the door cracked open, and then there was even more in the next one. The door cracked open more. And then that led them to Just Bring It, where they did everything. And that one is, well, that's the first serious classic, I guess. I don't know. What would you all say about those first 3 EP/mini LPs? All about a half hour long, mostly not written by the band, but they're starting to get their toes wet. Do you think that those measure up with the other albums? Do you think there are classics on those albums? I mean, Thrill, I think I would call Thrill a classic, because that one really fits with the aesthetic of Band-Maid, and perhaps it did at the time. But something like Made in Japan, the songs on that one, are they representative at all? Or is that a point where they're still working out exactly what they're going to sound like? I wonder about that. I don't see any genre listed, at least within Wikipedia, having to do with that one. So would you recommend it or would you not? Anyway, this was really cool, really fun to take a look at. I should look at more on Ohrenje's channel. There's a lot of good-looking stuff on there, and people have asked for some other things. But why don't you give your thoughts on this? If you have any particular favorites like this that you might like me to take a look at some point in the future, you can leave those below. I know that there's a documentary for each of the members of the band, so maybe I'll be starting there at some point. But give your thoughts on this, especially if it's new to you. And any further suggestions for the future, leave those below. Thanks again, Superfly, for your request. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed the presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining me today. I will catch you on the next one. Take care, folks.